There's a whole world out there of how a CEO or a partner in a company needs to make decisions and needs extra arms and legs. And I'm sharing this with you so that you have a broader set of knowledge of what roles are available for you as you are progressing through a company. Because guess what? Not everybody wants to be a COO or CEO. If you are somebody that really loves to work with people and you have this sixth sense, shall we say, of being able to mitigate really difficult situations or communicate really clearly to put out fires when emotions run high, then I would suggest for you to look into these types of roles. You can see it as a force multiplier of the CEO. So pretend you, our dear friend here, you are a CEO or you're a partner, and you got to answer to the board. You need to answer to your direct reports. You need to manage the whole company, and you need to somehow have a life and sleep and use the bathroom as a human being. And guess what? You can't do it all by yourself. And that is why for a lot of larger companies, a chief of staff comes in. I'm going to list the skills right here of what is needed to be a great chief of staff from what I've seen and what I've experienced, and also what a chief of staff is not. So what exactly does a chief of staff do? So there are like 5 main categories of what a chief of staff needs to do. The first role of a chief of staff is that about strategy alignment. So take, for example, Lana Banana Co. has 2 main strategies or priorities this year. First is, I would like to grow in APAC, okay? The second strategy is, I would like to sign up Amazon to sell our bananas, okay? And so a chief of staff would then get a team, and they're not managing a team, but what they are doing is they have the blessing, shall we say, of their boss, the CEO or the partner, to say, I need a team to complete this analysis. And you find out, dear chief of staff, that even though we're planning to grow in APAC region, we're actually focusing 40% of our resources in South America. So then the CEO makes decisions, so on and so forth. Another example is our banana needs to be sold on the Amazon platform, but guess what? The actual production or the operations of the bananas in making them a blue color is not going as planned. So that's another piece of information that the CEO generally would not have that information on because they have to manage so many different people. You're basically this buffer, okay? So you unveil a lot of the problems within the company. The second job of a chief of staff, I would say, is about helping your boss make faster decisions. To do that, you need to understand not just the strategy, but how does your boss think? How does a CEO think? Because what happens is once you know how they think, you will be entrusted with many decisions, sometimes big, sometimes small, so that you can reduce the noise for them. And so my boss in this example, she was an amazing boss, but she had way too much to manage. And so I would be reading these PowerPoint decks, I would be creating these briefing notes so that she knows what she needs to focus on before she goes into a meeting. The third role of a chief of staff is you're basically working across many different teams to remove roadblocks. You're trying to make sure that everybody plays nice, and when an issue comes up, that's a very important issue. It does get escalated to your boss. Not everything needs to be escalated. And that's where the second role that I had just mentioned of making decisions on behalf of your boss comes in as a chief of staff. The fourth part of this role is organizing and making sure that whatever cadence steer codes are being run at a productive way. Rather than it just being a status dump, you're basically trying to push progress. And you do that by making sure that you get the information. It's almost like project management. You're getting information from all of the different teams. In that way, they can see that there are eyes on their project. So it is visible, and that's usually how you push your to-dos or your deadlines. The last portion of this role is, let's call them white space ownership. Sometimes there are projects that nobody is able to own either because they don't have the time or they don't have the skill sets or we don't have the team to do it. So although a chief of staff does not manage people directly, again, the CEO can sometimes provide you a team to help you deliver on these special types of projects. And although I can't share any type of special projects for confidentiality reasons, I do remember that one was focused on big revenue growth, like we were trying to win a big client. The skills and the tasks that you need to take care of, fixing a broken process, launching a new business line, running crisis response. So let's say something went wrong in the regulatory and quality risk management. Like you're there to basically put out these fires so that the CEO doesn't need to worry about it. So that's that. That is what a chief of staff in general does. Again, I hope that this video is helpful to kind of broaden your horizons of what types of roles are out there in the corporate world, especially a role that nobody really ever talks about. So with that said, I will see you in my next video. Thanks for watching.